Oh, hello there. This is bobbing the head. It is Wednesday. Oh, Helen live for you fits. Done technicals. Just poking stuff. Good. Right. Oh, affirmations. When affirmations fail. Good one, that assumes that they do. Sometimes they do. When affirmations fail, that's today's live. She found a phone. So that down the back of the sofa. How's this? Hello, kid. Come in, kid. Come in, kid. Come in. She found a phone. Oi, oi. It'll take me outside after this to enjoy the lovely weather that's on offer. Zut. Alright, hope everyone's good. You're waiting for see if Helen will come online today. That would be fun. So what I'm going to do this live is stop. Oh, I'm going to continue to poke things because I find it massive. There she is. Hello, Heather. Hello. How I'm going to do. Oh, hey, wife. Emily's here. Oh, hey, I'm right here. She's right there. Thank Lord. We can start doing stuff. Boom. Heather, try adding on screen now. Try going into the little person down the bottom. Allow your viewers to request to join as a guest on your broadcast. If you're surely you can do this. There's a little person down the bottom with a little box. The man with the box. Man with the box. And say you want to be allowed. They'll receive an invitation. Do. Oh, the power of Christ compels you, internet. Oh, we can do this. We need to work out how to do this in person. There's already a guest on this broadcast. That's interesting. Who have I got on this? There is already a guest on this broadcast, apparently. Oh, what's going on there? It's me and my friend are obviously already on the broadcast. Who knew? Right, affirmations. Here's really interesting. Okay, I'm going to go through... Oh, you sent a request. Where is what it is? Oh, this is so interesting. Still foiled by the internet, aren't we? Happening like this. Fingers crossed. Yeah, no. It's between the two of us. We're just not very good at stuff, are we? I wonder if we can do this. Woo! Oh, I've done something else now. Let's see if that works. Don't make things easy, do they, on the old Tinterweb? Right, affirmations. How we do it? I'm going to go through a definition or an understanding of what an affirmation is, why we might use them, how you can select a different option to an affirmation, because some affirmations do not work, and I'll go through why they don't work. Actually, probably well, fail seems so strong, and yet they might not be appropriate. Got myself a new notebook. It's very snazzy. Look at this bad boy. It's reusable. Get this. Right, okay, ready for this. Heather, this is going to blow your mind. You can put this book here into the microwave, and you put the microwave on, you just put it in the microwave, put the microwave on, and it clears down the paper. But you can also scan this with your phone. Heather, this is where it gets really mind. You can scan it with your phone and send it into the world, into any internet you want. So technical life now, isn't it? It's this whole new world out there. You can see Heather, I can actually feel Heather's mind trying to work out how that actually works. Affirmation, I am awesome and I will be the guest. I am the guest. It's not will be. Aha, see? Already. Oh, ooh, let's get, we can even go into language. Language affirmations and why they may not work. Look, Heather's head's just blown off her shoulders right there. I am is current. I will be. We'll get to that. Language, isn't it? Language state and physical appearance is all things that make this deciding factor between successful affirmations, right? Or incantations, as I'll come on to. So, Abby's like that. That sounds familiar. Yes, it is, Abby. It sounds familiar. Yeah, see, Heather made a schoolgirl error, and we'll get on to them schoolgirl errors when it comes, or schoolboy, school person errors. Let's be non-gender specific. Okay, affirmations then. How do we class affirmations? Okay, listen to this, right? Sentences aim to affect the conscious and the subconscious mind, to affect our behaviour, thinking, habits, and environment. So like that. See it again. Yes, Heather, that's why it's not worked. You didn't do the correct tense when saying your affirmation. Sentences aimed to affect the conscious and subconscious mind, to affect our behaviour, thinking, habits, and environment. Okay, and by the way, if any of you have affirmations that you want to, not necessarily share your experience of affirmations through this, feel free to share away. Like that, you know, that cat on the meme. Share them away. That's Heather with her phone going. So sentences aim to affect the conscious and the subconscious mind, to affect our behaviour, thinking, habits, and environment. Okay, so it's an interesting concept that when looking at the definition of affirmations, that these are all areas defined to be impacted or manipulated by affirmations. So our behaviour, thinking, habits, and environment. That is the strength of a good affirmation. So why do we use them then? Why do some people use them? I use them. Although I've adapted how I use them recently. No surprises into why this is on. So why would somebody use affirmations to change their behaviour, thinking, habits, and environment? Oh, for very good reasons. They want to change them, right? They want to affect them, as the definition says. You want to influence and change the direction of a certain behaviour, thinking, habit, or environment. And to do that, it's not that you necessarily need to okay, here's the thing, right? It's not necessarily need to change what is external to you in those elements. It's how you're thinking of them. Okay, so affirmations, so let's go for that again. So it's not you directly change by physical action those things outside of yourself, so your behaviour, thinking, habits, and environments. It's your thought process towards it. Hey, Dexter! That is what affirmation's about. So it's how you think about things, not what the actions that you take, because guess what? Thoughts lead to behaviours, lead to emotions. So your thoughts and your words will eventually dictate your behaviours, which dictate your thinking, which dictate your environment, right? So it naturally happens. It all starts with the thought. Oh, doesn't this sound familiar to lots of the lives I've been talking about? It all comes full circle, doesn't it? However, it does. So there's lots of thinking that comes full circle, and affirmations is no different to the impact that it can have. And why do you want to do them then? Because, as I said, we want to influence that, and potentially we're looking at some elements of our environment that we've been unable to make progress on because of our thoughts, how we think about them, how we think about ourselves in that situation, so about our behaviours, the way we think about ourselves, the habits of which we have, and the environment that we're in, whether that's career, personal, financial, all of those things are all dictated to by how we think about them, and that starts with affirmations for a lot of people. Now, so wanting to change those in terms of weight loss and weight journey, huge. Huge because they actually dictate what we think of it, how we think of our journey at different stages, our negative self-talk, whatever you want to call it, our internal story, the loop, whatever it is, right? Affirmations are a way of disrupting that loop or that story, and that's what they're there for. They're to disrupt it and rewrite it over a length of time. Oh, I don't know what to do first, how to select them or where they go wrong. Let's go with how to select them, because I think I've done this exercise recently with a few clients, a couple of clients, and it's been interesting to see the results of them, certainly when they've, if they've shared them with me, which they have, to be fair. So how do you know? Well, firstly, how do you know you need some affirmations? Mainly because you want to change one of the things I've listed. To be honest, it's straightforward as that. And how do you then select them? Now this is where it gets tricky, and it's all about self-reflection. There's a couple of ways I'll do it. The simplest and most straightforward way of selecting an affirmation is to take the very uncomfortable exercise of writing down the 3 things that you say to yourself most commonly that is not productive to either your behaviour, your thinking, your habits, or your environment. And when I say environment, I'm talking relationship, career, all the rest of those things. So I usually go to the top 3, because 5 can be a bit much. 3 is a good place to start. So writing down the 3 things that just you say to yourself repeatedly that stops you doing something. Now they can be, I'm not good enough, for example. I am not loved is an example. I do not have enough value. I am not intelligent enough. I am an imposter. I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve happiness. This is all I have. All those things are examples of the tendencies that we have as people to say to ourselves. It's just pretty uncomfortable, right? To say those out loud or to share them is pretty uncomfortable. And that's why I say to a client, right, here's an exercise which we're going to do is that you go away after this this one-to-one, take some time, sit down with pen and paper, write down the 3 things that you say to yourself, the 3 strongest emotive things, things that make you go, oh, I'm not good enough. Okay, and then I want you to write down the reverse. So I don't even have it in front of you when you write it. When you write it down and then turn a bit of paper over and write down the reverse. So write down your negative sentence that you say to yourself, the top 3, and then I want you to write the reverse. So you're going to write the reverse as a statement, and then they become your affirmations. And what we do, actually, what I've done with a client, about 5-6 weeks ago now, is that she actually gave me some drafts. So we drafted some affirmations that she got from her statements, and some of them are about parenting. Like there's parenting that I'm like, I'm not a great parent, or I'm failing my child, etc. And we went into those. And then we went into the language. So hence one of the reasons why sometimes affirmations fail, right? This is the point of this, if you want to try this. This is where it's important to set them up where they mean something. It's the language to start with. So Heather here gave us an example. Where she went, Dan went too hasty, scored an error from here. So affirmation, I am awesome. Good. That's a good statement. Good statement. I am, current tense. I am awesome, not I'm going to be, or I aim to be, or I will be. And then I will be a guest. So she went forward thinking rather than the present. So when somebody's choosing an affirmation, they often fall into the trap of almost like I'm aiming to be there, I'm not there. Now the strength of an affirmation is the passion behind it, if you like. It's that I am this. No matter what I tell myself I am, because what you're really doing is answering that statement, right? So you're answering the negative statement. So if your negative statement says, let's use Heather's example, you're not going to be the guest, Heather, you can't use into the internet, you're not going on, that's, you're not, what was to say? What would be the statement? So the statement would be, you will not be the guest. The statement in response would be, I am the guest, not I'm going to try to be, or I will be. Again, you're trying to be the entire opposite. So trying to make the present tense. Another one would be, I am not loved, or no one loves me. That was a statement I had recently. No one loves me. And their response was, I love myself. So this particular client was going to be saying, appropriately at times that were right for her, that to remind herself, I am loved. I am loved. Is a really great example, right? And it's fantastic that she shared that with me as well, right? Because she's willing to put herself into a very vulnerable position, not only sharing the tough self-talk, like the real hard stuff, and also willing to open herself up to move forwards, right? Because that's what affirmations have the power to do, right? Going back to our initial point, right? Initial definition, to affect the conscious and subconscious mind, to affect our behavior, thinking, habits, and environment, because it does all of those for getting better, for count. Now, those are the ways, that's how to select it, or a simple way of selecting it. There's other ways of selecting them, they're more complex. However, just for the sake of this live, this is one that is kind of relatively straightforward. If someone's willing to go into that place, right, willing to be, willing to open themselves up to A, their coach, and B, themselves, to really delve into what it is that's holding back their story. Now here be a different thought process, of which, if she's still on. Oh, she's not. I have a client who's also seen this, so will know this, and if everybody didn't have a chance to capture this, although it is actually, if you look at some of his material, it's elsewhere. Tony Robbins did a 7-day free online program, right? You can go into, for 7 days only, you can go into a private Facebook group and have access for a period of time to some of his teachings, which were, by the way, flipping awesome. It is to say this. It is on my for the second year in a row, was on my my visualization board, and guess what? Then he popped up a freebie. I was on there like a tramp on chips. I was like that. Yes, nailed it. So that's one down. I've only got another 3 things to do by end of lockdown. I think all of those are possible. But tick, got that done. And one of the things he talked about, and he has talked about this before actually, he talked about this again. And this is a statement that, okay, this is a statement, I was going to end the live on this, but I'm going to make this statement now, right? Because this is directly quoting him. I'm not going to take credit, I'm going to place it where it's due, it came from him. Affirmations without conviction are the pathway to delusion. That one settled. I'm going to read that again. Okay. Affirmations without conviction are the pathway to delusion. Change my writing. I've got very good English there. Now, I'm going to do it one more time because it's a very powerful statement, and actually it applies to anybody who does affirmations or, in some sense, makes a statement to start something, even. Affirmations without conviction are the pathway to delusion. You can also still hear Heather's brain over the internet. She's still going, ooh. This is why I wanted Heather on this. She'd be like this, whoa! It's a brilliant statement, and it's fundamentally very true about any affirmation that any client or any person starts with. I often see it. Okay, here's go kind of like a broad analogy, except it does actually apply. If I see a client start something with a big bang, so they'll start a next chapter of their journey, or a next stage, and it's not that they're not doing the work, they just start it with a big fanfare and a big kind of ta-da, this is me now, I am starting this is me, I'm a go, watch me go. They make a big statement, like a big affirmation, that this is what they're going to do, and there's not a conviction behind it, because there isn't either a belief, or they haven't chosen something that actually they are passionate about. And then what happens is, and it's not, delusion is a strong statement. Ruby's just arrived. Ruby, I'm going to say this statement again because I freaking love it, and Heather's writing it down, so I'm going to say it again. People get this one. Woo! Affirmations without conviction are the pathway to delusion. So let's go back to this phantom client. So if I see a client who starts a new chapter or whatever it is with big fanfare, confetti, balloons, there's probably a red ribbon or something. What I will generally see is that client will start that process repeatedly over and over again, with little to low success. And it's not because, it's a number of things, I think. A lot of this is, though, that they don't truly either believe it in themselves because they haven't selected an affirmation, or they haven't selected a leverage behind it, or whatever it is. Often, though, the delusion side of it is when someone starts something massive, like, I am high, it's not really the right selection. That's probably the wrong example to give. How Tony talks about it is, he says, if someone says, right, if they go, this is an affirmation, I am happy, I am happy, I am happy. So I'm laughing, I am happy. Am I more or less like to believe you to go, I am happy, I am a happy person. I don't know which one I'm more convinced by. I'm convinced by which one has more conviction. Get teeth in. Which one has more conviction? So if you go back to that statement of affirmations without conviction are the pathway to delusion. So is this person delusional? I am happy, I am happy, I am happy. Or changing the physical state. I am happy, I'm a happy person. Yeah. Which one is more convincing? Now, what he calls it incantation. So he calls it something different. And I've been testing this to the pure delight of my neighbourhood, who mainly have no idea what's happening. I think they just accept this now. Helen knows when I say this. I was walking out yesterday in a unicorn onesie down the street saying, I am a great coach. The woman walking a dog on the other side of the road was like, what the actual hell? I was a person of conviction there in the middle of the street wearing a unicorn onesie, complete with horn and tail. I convinced myself for a minute that I probably needed help. However, the idea is that as funny as that was actually in the moment, because the woman was genuinely quite confused. I think she's in the midway of picking up poop as well, so it's a bit like, okay, better move along now. It was a real moment. However, what he's saying is, and I understand actually, is that a bit like with affirmations, and he says the same thing as well. It's brilliant. He says it's like going into the garden and shouting, "There is no weeds. There is no weeds. There is no weeds." And the idea is you've got to pull it out. You can't just say it at it in a particular way. You've got to change your approach to it. And I may talk about this later on or later down the line in another live about how to do that specifically. But in terms of turning an affirmation into something more successful, you make it more convincing, and not just to the lady across the street who's picking up dog poop while you're out doing it to yourself, also to yourself. I've practiced this everywhere. Actually, I was driving somewhere and I was like fully out loud doing it. I didn't care. I was like, affirmations are, I think sometimes sometimes they're private for a good reason. You know, you don't want to be shouting some things down the street or at the traffic lights in the summer if your windows are down, because maybe you're not in that space. I have been. I've just thought, well, I might as well give it a go. If it's good enough for Tony Robbins, I will give it a go. And I have, and I can see what he actually means about it. Is that it's almost it's not you're convincing other people, you are convincing yourself. Your affirmations become more convincing when you change your physical presence, and you change how you say it, like an incantation, like you are whispering gold into the universe. I am a happy person. I can't even do it without laughing. I'm laughing, I guess, a little bit because I understand his thought process behind it, having done both. Having done affirmations for Cripes Penfold. Cripes Danger Mouse. That's the right quote. Cripes Danger Mouse. Oh god. 2 years? Yeah, we're coming up on 2 years. That's a lot, really, if you think about it. Daily for 2 years is a long time. Now, for the last 2 weeks, I have not done them because I'm transitioning from affirmations into incantations, and I'm wondering how much I can shout at a traffic light convincingly at the moment. I'm in transition. However, it's a really interesting process to feel and sense, because I fundamentally have found a huge turning point in thinking of it in a different way, and thinking of that way, that the more successful an affirmation is to be convincing. You've got to believe it, right? And this is the thing about even doing affirmations, if you do them like that rather than incantation, like I'm bellowing into the universe, although I am. The idea is that they have to be something that you do invest your belief in. They have to be convincing to yourself. I mean, as much as it's a practice, it's that. Because otherwise, that's why some people are not consistent with them, and they don't have that sense. They don't think they make progress with it, or don't think they become that thing. It's because it's like you've got to see it, feel it. In that moment when you're saying it, you've got to be that thing. That is what it is. You've got to be that thing to become it in that moment, however long that moment is. If it's scaring a neighbour out front, or at the traffic lights, or where did I do it the other day? Oh, I just did it up the road a little bit. I went for a walk with my earphones in. I mean, I say this because I can't hear myself. I think I got a look as someone drove by. I think that was manageable. I mean, they probably won't see me again until tomorrow morning. They slow down next time I go, there's the mad woman, shouting to herself. It's a definite change though. So that's probably like a next step change. If someone hasn't done affirmations yet, they're like, whoa, that's way too advanced. I'm not going dressed up down the street bellowing stuff at strangers. Probably. It is, however, a different look on something. And it is something that for me, right, I'm just saying for me, my own experience so far, I found it hugely beneficial. I'm like this, I am happy, right? I'm convincing when I say that, I'm happy. And that is true. And I love the fact that Heather broke that down. I'm going to say it one more time, because I said I'd wrap up this live on it, and I'll probably come back to it again. I remember when I heard it, I even messaged it to Sam going, whoa. Even he was like, that's a banger. And it is true. It's absolutely the truth. Affirmations without conviction are the pathway to delusion. The conviction element being that. Conviction, convincing physically and mentally tangible. Something that in that second you've got to become. Even if it's for that second when you go back, I don't know, I'm right there. It's that physical position. I think he calls it the warrior position. Chest up, head up, belief. Convinced in what you're saying, convinced in what you believe in, convinced in the person that you are, right? Okay, so recap. Sentences, that's what affirmations are. Sentences aim to affect the conscious and the subconscious mind, to affect our behaviour, thinking, habits and environment. 4 things. Why do we do them? Because we want to affect those 4 things. Why do you want to affect those 4 things? Multiple different reasons. Certainly if you're trying to lose weight and be healthy, what are you trying to do? You're trying to change your behaviours on a daily basis. You want to start thinking about your thoughts, like how your thoughts do become your behaviours, right? So where does it start from? Your thoughts. Your habits, again, separate to your behaviours, I guess, to some degree. It wasn't this definition anyway. And your environment. So you're wanting to change your environment, which can be, which I didn't go into, specifics, career, relationship, friendships, whatever, right? Your environment. So I talked about how to select affirmations if you're wanting to look at them, and a nice simple exercise there's many ways to do it. Just for this live, and go through the simplest one. I can go real deep and get them real deep, but we'll go simple. And this is probably for somebody who is ready to do it and is ready to expose themselves to the thought process of their own, and feel that it is a very emotive process, to write down the 3 worst things, the most things that you say to yourself, and you're aware that those are the things that are stopping you move forward, or currently affecting your behaviour, thinking, habits and environment in a way that you don't want. Okay, so those 3 statements or stories you tell yourself, and then to write down the entire opposite in the present tense, right? Because I talked about the language of the affirmation as well. How convinced you are by it, right, is how convincing you make the language as well. Okay, going back to that statement I made, you're only being as convincing as the words that you also use. It'd be like, and I talked about words before, right? Same premise with an affirmation. It'd be nice to be happy. Ooh, not convinced, right? Or I want to be an okay coach. I'm laughing because I'm like, oh God, I'm so unconvincing. This is like acting 101 right now. I'm so okay. No, I am a great coach. I don't even want to be, look, I almost did it myself. I am a great coach. I'm an excellent coach. I'm the best coach in the whole of Leicester. That's way more convincing though. Let's be an okay coach. Right, words and tense in your affirmations mean the difference between an affirmation that is successful and an affirmation that you will have to come back to and redo. And by the way, it's not that I haven't had to. By the way, it's been 2 years of this. I have had to revise and change my own language. I haven't actually necessarily changed my affirmations. Oh, last week was the first time I took mine off the fridge. I went, no, not even you anymore. And why? Because I've been trialling doing something that Tony Robbins calls incantations, where I'm actually physically changing my body position, changing my own conviction, right, in what I'm doing. Affirmations are, generally speaking, there's something we read and go, I'm not saying they don't have a place, because they have worked for me. However, when I say, yeah, okay, yes I am, yes I am. It's taking that and just magnifying it and going, what was the other ones? I am patient. I am patient. Lots of people think I'm patient. It's because I am. Guess what? Something like this would have annihilated me in a previous life. This would have been the epitome of all actual evil. My kryptonite. Now I'm a patient person. I will patiently unravel this rather than rip it to shreds. Because I am a patient person. See how it works in progress there? So it does work. However, for it to be convincing and not to take you down a path of delusion, as the quote says, is to convince not only the people in your life, more importantly, the words and the way you say it is to convince yourself, because that is who you're trying to combat with those words. I'm going to say it again, because I still love it. This is one of the best quotes I've ever seen. Affirmations without conviction are the pathway to delusion, right? And therefore failure. Without convincing statements and use of those statements, they will not be successful, because you haven't convinced yourself, let alone the world, of what you're going forward to do. Now, if you are a member and you want to do some affirmations, or say it again. No, I can't say anymore. I feel like I got it on a t-shirt. My t-shirt has I would have a lot of space in my t-shirts, the quotes I'm coming out with this week. Load of them. So many. Get our best incantation. I am unbreakable. Yeah. Get that one. I'm gonna get that one just up on there in lights. Literally. It's going to be backwards on the live, which is a bit annoying, but that's what's going to happen. I might get him to do it in backwards. That'd be awesome. Just some neon. Okay, that's an incantation, and that's what I'm going to live by. So if you are a client or our clients, and you want to explore it, then absolutely do explore it. And actually saying that is so true. I've become such a positive person. It's repeated action of displacing the story, which I'll probably talk about displacing stories another time. That is what affirmations essentially do. I've for this again, I've put it on a certain level to say it's the counter of the negative statements. However, actually, it's actually also displacing the story, or it is. It's displacing it. It's like there is no weeds moment. Like, it's like staring at the lawn and going, there is no weeds at the weeds, and they go, hey. But actually, you've got to change something fundamentally. You've got to rip it out, and there's a disruption of the story. and what Daksha has experienced, which is brilliant also, is that becoming a positive person, it's like it happens overnight. It's the displacement of the story rather than telling yourself negative things like this is bad. Glass half full, right? It's never true. Sometimes I bring out the corkers because actually when you re-explain them, they're not so far wrong. It's just that we don't have an explanation for them in modern life, or how our brains work in modern life. Yeah. So there you go. Join me again for another installation of a quote and another attempt to get Heather online with me, which will be brilliant. Right, okay, have a lovely evening, and I will catch you all tomorrow.